evening, everybody.
Of course, my throat chooses that moment to tickle. Hey,
Of
everyone.
course, of course. uh, Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And before we get into it, in case you missed it, so normally we start off with just a straight box office analysis, um, but we actually did that on Sunday.
Yes. So we're gonna do things a little differently this week.
Yeah.
And
Now, if you're going, what box office analysis video? Go check out the channel. It's
yes,
after the show is done.
I'll put a card in the corner. Um,
Because we did two things basically. First off, we did the analysis when it was timelier, which which is always an advantage.
yes. And DB gave did a little fan fiction about how to fix the marvels.
Yes, eagle-eyed viewers of the Chris Gore show might have noticed that I did a super chat to try and shill it a bit.
Mhm.
Um, and I am curious what people would think about it. I would even be down for somebody calling me an idiot and a hack if they can explain why.
Yeah. Hey, Ninja, good to see you as always. Uh, yeah, more meme related media. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah, this is definitely one. I believe this was Daniel's suggestion,
yes.
and,
Yeah.
and I immediately said, "Oh, Big Lebowski, never seen that one." Uh, so it's definitely, man, so many memes I now know where they're from.
Yes.
But
But
enough about talking about I don't know, movies for adults.
yes. Let's shall we get into our get into our topics? So I guess we're gonna do a little bit of box office, maybe a little talk and give a little update on the Marvels. Give our predictions for another upcoming movie, and then we'll get into our reviews. And Ninja says uh, he enjoyed it. Your rewrite of the Marvels.
Well, thank you, Ninja.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So here we go.
So actually, no, this is the wrong chart because we've already talked about the weekend chart.
Right. Oh,
We
that's
want
still a weekend
the.
chart.
I'm so used to clicking the weekend chart.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
I know.
habit. Um, Marvels is not picking up any steam. It's 444 per theater today,
Ooh,
or for Wednesday. As
yeah.
of yesterday, it has added about 7.5 million to its cumulative total.
Yeesh.
Now, it avoided the kiss of death that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness suffered, which was to have a Monday gross higher than its Tuesday gross. The the gross, which that was basically the world going, there was no Spider-Man in there.
Yeah.
What the hell is a WandaVision?
Yeah.
America Chavez, what?
What? Yeah. Why should I care about Wanda and her two fake kids?
Yeah. But so this avoided that because Monday was 2 million, Tuesday was 3.3 million.
Mhm.
We're talking about very small numbers here.
Yeah, that's true.
Like let's take a quick look at in our Wayback Machine to a movie that everyone's like, wow, this is peak MCU failure for the year with Ant-Man
Yeah.
and Spaceman. There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Because eagle-eyed viewers may recall that that movie managed to get 106 million its opening weekend, and people thought that was a disappointment.
Yeah.
With, instead of a $6.6 million preview night, a $17 million preview night. And yeah, so where the Marvels is clicking along at, oh, interesting. Ant-Man also had the kiss of death trend where it actually made half as much on Tuesday as it did the
Monday.
following
Ooh.
Monday. Although, wait, no, I think was February 20th Martin Luther King Day or President's Day?
It might have been. Yeah.
Day 2023. Yeah, okay. Monday, February 20th. So that, never mind. That isn't as distinctive.
Okay.
So if we ignore that number, it's basically doing a little less than half of what Ant-Man was doing day to day his first week,
Right. Yeah.
which tracks, but because it's a little bit less than half of its opening box office.
Right. Yeah.
It, and a, and also a third of its preview night. That basically means that like there are fewer and fewer diehard Marvel people who will
Yeah.
do literally anything.
Yeah.
They're really being asked to do too much.
Indeed. Yeah.
But there's another movie starring a somewhat controversial online actress that
Hmm.
that to that kind of has this miasma of who cares around it,
Yeah.
in a long in a storied franchise.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes looks to sit. Now they're estimating $100 million worldwide opening with a 50-50 split between the U.S. and international here on Deadline Hollywood.
Yeah. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so as somebody who read the Hunger Games book and saw the first two movies,
Mm.
I will say that it is a series that does not necessarily leave you with a feeling of triumph and hope.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like it has a very bittersweet Pyrrhic ending. It's realistic, but it isn't like the end of Return of the Jedi, where sure they lost some friends um, and Luke had to watch his dad die as he saved him.
Yeah.
But things are better. I would almost call, aside from her actually having kids, she's almost more like a Jake Skywalker type at the very end of it.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. She's just broken and just a husk of
Yeah,
a person.
exactly. Uh, so I don't know how the ending sat with people. I mean, my dad read the books too, and like when the series comes up, that's all he talks about is like that ending.
Mm.
But um, I haven't talked with a sample size of people in the intended target demographic of like I'd say like YA readers, so with
Yeah.
like a female bent who uh, who actually got all the way to the end. Because a lot of people I know watched the first two
Yeah.
and didn't really bother to see the ending, which the box office tracking or the box office receipts for the series sort of bear that out. Because the first two clocked north of 400 million nationally or domestically.
Yeah.
Then the third one opened to 337 million, and the fourth one opened to 281 million. You might say, DB, I'm not, I'm the type of person who reads YA adults as a grown man, but it seems to me that there were only three Hunger Games books. Very astute of you. They did the same thing as Twilight and Harry Potter, where they split the last book in the series into two movies.
Which I don't really get why they did that, other than just to make more money.
From my understanding, Harry Potter was long enough to justify it.
Mm.
I think I did ultimately end up seeing both of those Twilight movies as a just with the riff tracks for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
I don't. There. I mean, the Twilight movies didn't really have a plot to start with
that's true.
in the conventional sense. So that was just a money grab.
Yeah.
From what I recall of book three, they're not especially long books. Let's find out. Hunger Games 3 word count. Yeah. Okay, so wordcounttool.com.
Hmm.
Come on.
Well, they wouldn't have to be
Oh,
very long because they're YA.
okay. Right. But okay, so first one was 99,000 words. Second one was 101,000 words. Third one was 100,000 words. So the third book was actually shorter than the second book.
But they split it into two movies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now it's been too long. I can't really judge if that was pure money grab or uh, partial money grab.
Yeah.
Um, you definitely have like a large drop off of interest after the second book. I think it's I don't know. There is something that is lost when they move on to book three,
Yeah.
from what I recall. Um, so I was thinking they were kind of insane, but even on the third one where interest was, or the fourth one where interest was dropping off, we're still only about a quarter down from the heights of the second book,
Yeah.
quarter to a third. So it's not like there was no interest.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if maybe it was just like everybody was kind of over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. Because that is the other thing is that if the third book doesn't again, people I've talked to have read the third book just like comes away with a sour taste in their mouth. So I wonder if there were like I remember hearing that Barnes and Noble was partially buoyed in the 2010s by the existence of the Hunger Games, like just blowing up.
Yeah.
But all the books, I believe, yeah, all the books were out before those movies started coming out. So what would happen if, person watches the first movie, watches the second movie, and they get really excited, and they want to see how it ends, and they
Uh,
realize, I don't necessarily want to see how this movie, and I don't want to see this story in movie form.
yeah.
So I also understand why they wouldn't want to try a sequel to that series because you've overthrown the government. Like
Yeah.
things are different.
Yeah. Unless they do. Yeah. You don't want to make the same mistake that they did with Star Wars in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, somehow President Snow returned.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh.
Ninja
Uh,
says, I heard the third one focused on the revolution as opposed to the actual Hunger Games. That is correct, which is a logical way for the series to go, considering that it was already a big cheater cheat thing when Katniss and Peeta were put back in the Hunger Games a second time.
yeah. If I remember right, they only happen like every 10 years or something.
Were they? Were they? Was it? I
I
thought it was
can't.
annual.
Was it annual? I can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Regardless,
Yeah.
if they're going to have another Hunger Games, you're not supposed. There's like a double jeopardy clause for being chosen twice.
Right. Yeah.
They were being set up because they were too popular.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about the problems I see with this movie. First off, that is a dumb name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it means something in the movie itself, but maybe you watch and go, "Oh, songbirds and snakes," because the so, there's a bunch of snakes in the government, and the songbirds are like the mockingjays, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Just like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
I'm sure
It's
it's
yeah.
too big brain for us mere mortals.
Yeah. Indeed.
um, and not, but yeah, like you said earlier, people might just be over this series.
Yeah. Yeah, this franchise struck me as being a flash in the pan type of thing, where it's just like, okay, it was kind of a passing fad. You had,
Yeah.
you saw a bunch of teenage girls suddenly become interested in archery.
Right. Or
Uh,
like you start to over the shoulder braid in a few places. And
right.
let me tell you, teaching middle school when that movie was actually relevant, got so freaking obnoxious. Like when you would send someone to the office and the kids would all like hold their hands up like this as like
Oh
a sign of protest.
god. Ah, jeez. Uh,
But anyway, um, another issue this has is the actress. This movie, okay, the trailer's presented as starring Rachel Zegler, but it sounds like it's actually about President Snow, and like Zegler kind of disappears partway through it.
uh, and hey, Dean Rhino, good to see you. And yeah, he doesn't care for the Hunger Games. It's yeah.
I disagree. I think the first one at least is a worthwhile movie. Like you can argue about it, like oh, does it rip off that one anime that everyone I swear more people bring it up to say that the Hunger Games ripped it off
Oh,
than actually have seen or watched or seen or read it.
battle, well, not battle royale. Was it battle royale?
Might have been Battle Royale.
Yeah, yeah, I know the
I,
one you're talking about. Yeah,
I've never actually talked to anybody who said they had read it. I just know everyone like Hunger Games, huh? That just ripped off an anime.
yeah.
Which, as a fan of anime, it's like you can take a basic premise of something and put your own spin on it, which I feel like they did here.
Mhm.
And the author has mentioned different inspirations that I have no reason to doubt her.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a Rachel Zegler movie, right when she's in the middle of her Snow White. Go away, tourist. Go
Jeez.
away, tourist.
Ooh. Ooh.
Wait, is that directed at me or is that directed at the people who like bring up Battle Royale without actually having seen it?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway, so a Rachel Zegler movie launching just as she has got on everybody's S list
Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay,
for
okay. He says, yeah, the fakes. Okay, all right.
for going out there and repeatedly mocking what came before her with Snow White.
Right. Yeah. Amongst other things, which, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She actually comes across worse in interviews than Brie Larson did in the 2016 to 2019 era, which is impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like Brie has actually quieted down a bit because she kind of realized the damage she did to her career.
I think so too. Yeah. You're like, what do you mean people don't like me?
Um, but I will also say that I saw multiple trailers for this thing. So they've been advertising this thing in movie theaters pretty heavily for months.
Yeah.
Um, and before I even knew who Rachel Zegler was, my overriding thought was, this looks lame.
Yeah.
And also, who the hell cares about Hunger Games in 2023?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially a prequel. I don't care. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Chris Gore gave it the best sales pitch he could as kind of an average tier movie where is like kind of a Darth Vader-ish fall to the dark side story for the guy who became President Snow, the mouth bleeding Colonel Sanders looking villain of the series.
Yeah. It was, Donald Sutherland played him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So D Rhino brings up why. See, okay, so Deadline Hollywood thinks 50 million domestic.
Yeah.
And I when I make my predictions, I usually go domestic because I don't understand the foreign box office, and there's a lot of moving factors in there, like what countries is it releasing in, what's the timetable they're releasing in,
Right. Yeah.
um, and so on.
Is it
But
getting? Is it going in China? Is it releasing in China? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, So, so D. Rhino brings up, who cares about Twilight? That's exactly why this could conceivably do better than I'm giving it credit for.
Mm,
Because everybody I talked to who came away from the series with kind of a sour taste in their mouth is a man.
yeah.
Like, I actually don't mind a bittersweet ending necessarily, and I thought
Yeah.
that movie, or I thought that book had earned it.
Hmm.
But I also didn't rush out to go see the third movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what the female demographic thinks of how those books turned out. I don't know what the
Yeah.
female demographic thinks of how those movies turned out.
Right. Yeah.
And while we are 8 years away from the last movie,
Hmm.
we're 10 years away from the second one, which was the most popular movie. 10 years is enough time for somebody to have some nostalgia. So 10 years is enough time for somebody who had, like, let's say somebody discovered the series when they were 16, and then the Jennifer Lawrence movies come out when they're 18, and
Yeah.
a lot of life has happened to them since 2012, and they now have daughters who are on the cusp of being old enough to go see this thing and share it with their parents.
Yeah.
You, it could surprise.
Yeah.
It's not like there's anything aside from Rachel Zegler's presence. There isn't like anything culture war-y that's dragging this movie down.
No, it's just it's just like you were saying, we're 8 years removed from the last movie, and and it's like, okay, well, our audiences are wondering, well, do we really need another Hunger Games movie?
Right. So the X factor is how many people decide that they need another Hunger Games movie, and I don't have a good estimate for that.
Yeah.
Deadline Hollywood's prediction puts it ahead of the Marvels, which would be hilarious because this, like, my gut says, like, there's a side of me that would not be surprised if we turn up next week and go, well, it made 20 million in its first weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, let's do a little bit of live reporting here. Fandango,
Ah,
because we can see how. Let's see here. I'm just going to pick two theaters at random. There are showings at. Let's see. I'm going to pick two showings at theaters near me for 9 o'clock, because that's for Thursday night. Huh. Okay. So for the one where it's kind of where it's a Cinemark, the back row is basically like the back half of the theater is basically all taken.
oh wow.
Um, for one where it's a more normal screen for 9 o'clock tonight, only six are sold. Um, but for this other one that's kind of a normal screen, there's like a smattering of seats. So none of these are exactly full, but there are perhaps more than I was anticipating, and this doesn't account for people who show up at the theater.
Right.
There is one at the theater nearest me that has 0 tickets sold for the 9 o'clock showing.
Hmm.
So that's kind of a random smattering of tickets. So that, like, who knows? I think before the show we were talking about it, and I came down to my prediction of a $30 million opening weekend.
Right.
But if I've undercounted it, then what I have done is I have been in a bubble of mostly men's sci-fi interest.
Yeah. Same here.
Incidentally, it occurs to me that do you think the Hunger Games might have influenced some of the long-term planning in a lot of these sci-fi franchises to pivot things to having a female action lead?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, when you think about the stew of things like like the all new, all different Marvel and things like that, do like that they eventually turned into movies starring America Chavez and Ms.
Yeah.
Marvel and things like that. I wonder if, like, part of the pitch that happened in Kevin Feige's office was, and look at these Hunger Games movies.
Probably. Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
But yeah, so I'm putting my mark down at 30 million. If I
Very good.
am if I am dead wrong next week, then um, I am open to it.
Yeah. Ninja says it definitely influenced video games. Oh yeah,
I mean, they basically turned Laura Croft into Katniss Everdeen,
pretty much.
and
Much to everyone's chagrin.
yeah, and also Horizon Zero Dawn with her. Like,
Mm,
if it wasn't actually a fantasy game and the girl was an archer, probably Katniss.
yeah. Yeah.
But of course, the first female action star ever is going to be influential in a genre. So, th-
Exactly. Yeah.
thank you, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes. Certainly wasn't that Sigourney Weaver. Yeah.
No, that would be crazy. No.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that we have exhausted this topic. So
Yes.
let's move on to things we are actually excited about outside of an academic category.
Yes.
So with our usual habit of doing a new thing and an old thing, we actually had a hard time finding a new thing this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a whole lot of new stuff dropping on streaming.
Yep, nothing on Netflix, nothing on Paramount Plus that we could see. So we went back to the old well and decided to look at Animu.
Yes. And we we decided on season two, or at least the first few episodes of season two in Spy Family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which okay, so um, to kind of bring up our like we had covered this a little bit previously, or maybe it was my thing of the week.
I think it was yours. Yeah.
So this is one that I've been reading the manga on for a while now. In fact, I'm currently partway through the volume 10 of the manga.
Oh
As you can
wow.
as you can see, I actually support things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
um, and it's a series that you kind of have to adjust your expectations on it, in my opinion,
Hmm.
because the first few volumes create this impression of a ticking time bomb. Like, Lloyd has to get to this guy and find out what his nefarious schemes are by using Anya in the school.
Right.
If you think that there's that ticking time bomb in the back of your head as you are reading a few, like multiple volumes of kind of light, fluffy slice of life adventures,
Yeah.
um, you can get very frustrated very fast. You know what it is? It's like the equivalent of a video game where they keep saying, "Oh no, the Dark Lord is descending upon our realm, and we only have so much time," but there isn't actually anything keeping track of time in game. So you go out and just do all the side quests.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, in case somebody's been under a rock in the anime community or just isn't an anime person, I would actually call this a rather normie-friendly anime series to dip your toes in on.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the kind of anime I think I could probably show to my parents, and they would get some enjoyment out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, and Daniel, since I've been talking a lot, you want to give the people a quick synopsis of the premise of the show?
Sure. Our main character, I guess. Well, I don't know if he's the main character, but it starts
That's
off with,
debatable, isn't it?
yeah. So basically, it's set in an alternate world where you've got. I think the way you characterized it in your review was is basically East and West Germany.
Hmm.
You got Westallus in the west, and then Astania in the east, and these are two countries that are basically locked into a state of Cold War. And you've got a spy named codenamed Twilight, and he's like a typical uh, Cold War era super spy, and he's given a new mission by his by his superiors that he has to get close to I can't remember what he's like the head of the political party in Astania, and
Yeah, if not a political party, at least it's like a reactionary group. Because
right.
yeah, 'cause what I was really hammered into me recently in this volume specifically, because you actually get Lloyd's backstory in volume 10,
Oh,
is
okay,
that there was actually a very hot war not very long ago,
okay,
and so it's like the two sides are eyeing each other unhappily,
okay.
and the it's like who he's trying to infiltrate is this faction that is probably pushing for a rejoinder of the hot war.
Right. And the only way he can get close to this guy, because the guy is a real recluse.
Mhm.
The only way he can get close to him is through his son. Because the only time he ever goes out in public is if he's supporting his son at this prestigious private school. So Twilight has to have a family. So
Yep.
he has to get a kid.
And
And
this is a very conservative society, so
yeah.
no single dads allowed.
Right, and so he ends up getting so he goes to an orphanage and he adopts little Anya there. Um little does he know Anya has is telepathic. And then he meets Yor, um who's a government
Uh,
government bureau.
I don't. Okay, never mind. I jumped the gun. You are right. She is a government bureaucrat.
Right, yeah, yeah, and that's her day job, and then at night she's an assassin uh, by the name the Thornton Princess. And she has what's weird funny about her is that like she has like the two personalities where like she's
Mhm.
where she's like meek and naive and
Uh,
and
Very like very cute and kind of incompetent.
yeah, and then she goes into the Thornton Princess mode and she's just stone
Game
cold
game
killer.
face on.
Yeah. and she has an odd fixation with knives.
Yes.
But so Lloyd, well, he Twilight takes on the name of Lloyd Forger, and then he and Yor get married, and then they're raising Anya. Um,
In a sexless marriage, which will come up as a key reason why the first episode of the second season can work at all.
right. Yeah, and so basically the first season is just the trials of Lloyd trying to get Anya to be a good student, so that she can get close to Damien, that who's the son of the Damien Desmond, who's the son of the reactionary guy, and uh, and so the two ways to do it would be either Anya be a good student or Anya be friends with Damien. Of course, she can't be friends with Damien because when they first meet, she punches him because Damien is a brat. Um, and then
Who definitely, absolutely does not have a crush on Anya. Shut up. You're an idiot for even suggesting it.
right. And so the only other way is for Anya to be a good student, but the problem is Anya is a dimwit.
Yeah, she's either now. I think that there's a possibility that she lied about her age, so
Oh,
she may
okay.
be a year behind everybody else too.
Okay. Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure how to read that scene because like, Lloyd is interviewing her as a possible adoption candidate, and he's thinking to himself, she looks kind of on the small side. Is she could be 4? Anya is 6.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually how she got the job, was that she used her telepathy to figure out exactly what to say to get the right prompt out of him.
Right. And and so when so as the season progresses, uh, they go through all these different trials and tribulations, and so then we get into I think it was at the end of the first season when Lloyd actually does get to meet uh, the Desmond guy.
Yeah, right. It's a very brief meeting, and Desmond is basically not that into him.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Um,
so the
yeah.
mission has to continue into a second season.
Right. And so then season two, um, we so kind of near the end of the first season, there were a lot of these slice of life episodes.
Right, and
Yeah.
they were like a bunch of half episodes,
Yeah.
because like they were a chapter in the manga, and there wasn't enough meat there to turn into a full 22-minute episode.
Right. One of the episodes, of course, they I forgot to mention they adopt a dog, Bond.
Yep,
And they named him Bond because Anya's favorite cartoon show was it called Spy Wars?
that sounds right.
Yeah, and the main character's name's Bondman, and he looks
Yeah.
suspiciously like Lloyd, but with a mask and yeah.
Uh,
But
uh,
but yeah, yeah. There's a funny episode about that in a second.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the second season opens up where Yor is off on on her missions, but just as she's finishing up, one of her targets wasn't quite dead, and shoots her right in the butt.
Yes. By the way, I want to say I don't know if they rearranged these at all, but they lucked into or planned into kind of a perfect soft reintroduction for the series.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of episodes where you wouldn't necessarily it wouldn't be any different if Yor wasn't secretly an assassin.
all right.
Because yeah, like you said, Yor gets shot in the butt, but she's such a superhuman that she not only survives, not only isn't dying of sepsis or something,
Yeah,
but like the biggest consequence is that she can't sit down.
right. And uh, she's absolutely miserable, and so Lloyd
And,
takes it as, oh no, she's not happy about the marriage or the situation, whatever. So
uh,
he
I
takes her out on a date.
I need to smother her with attention by taking her on the perfect date.
Yeah,
And you also introduce Anya's telepathy because she knows what happened.
hmm
Eh, and you also introduce the kind of Weasley guy over here who is whose name I always forget, who is yours informant slash source of tech gadgetry.
Lloyd.
Yours, excuse me, Lloyd's source of.
It's okay.
I
It's
always think
okay.
of Yor as a boy's name because of the stupid movie Yor the Hunter from the Future,
Oh, okay.
as reviewed way back in the day by the Spoony one, and I actually did end up seeing that, and that is an insane movie.
Uh,
But that is neither here nor there.
yeah.
But yes, like so Anya tails them, um, and it's just it's a funny episode because it just is like a perfect encapsulation of what the series is
hmm
about the facade. Everybody gets to show off their talents and personalities. Lloyd spends way too much time planning like 800 different possible dates depending on what Yor says.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, she doesn't want to get in the limo, so then it knocks down to like 60, I think, or something.
Yep. Yeah. So funny episode.
hmm
Um, good opener. And I want to say, I had never watched this dubbed before. I decided that since I'd watched the first season mostly subtitled,
hmm
and on the ones where I did watch it dubbed, I was watching with friends, so I wasn't really focused on it.
Okay.
Um, I decided I looked up the actress. It's Natalie Van Sistine. She did an amazing job portraying Yor in that particular episode. Because yeah, like, where she was like just constantly in pain and miserable.
Yeah. She's like, I can't sit down.
I can't sit down. Like, so kudos there for that performance.
Yes.
And everyone does basically sound right.
Yeah.
Even Anya, which is can be a challenge for an English VA to capture kind of the high pitched squeakiness of a Japanese anime child.
Yeah. Yeah. And although she doesn't refer to herself in the third person in the dub.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but you're right.
Yeah,
Um, and so like we watched the first 6 or so episodes. I would say that it's actually a good dub.
yeah,
Uh, I was a little bit let down that the dub ended right before what I would call the first big arc of this stretch of the series, which is basically they all go on a cruise together, which is more about yours missions for once than Lloyd's missions.
ah, yeah.
So, so probably we'll circle around back and watch that again once it's all dubbed up on Crunchyroll.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Uh,
Um, yeah,
uh, and there's like just but this is like a stretch of like this is another stretch of slice of life episodes.
yeah. I will say the one. Do want to mention a couple of the little stories. Of course, the one with Bondman.
Yeah, Bondman is a player, and it backfires on him horribly.
Yeah, yeah. There's one episode in there where you see the kind of part of the cartoon, and he gets himself a harem, and then yeah, and then it just blows up in his face.
Right? Because he's recruiting a harem of former supervillains, princesses, damsels in distress, reporters, other spies.
Yeah,
It's kind of ridiculous.
yeah. And then there's another one with Damien, the kid, Damien Desmond, where he gets punished because I can't remember. I think he oversleeps. I think it was,
Yeah, he oversleeps.
yeah, and so he can't go with the rest of the kids to see a movie. But then his two cronies decide to stay with him instead of going to the movie, which made me realize those two kids are actually like really good friends.
Yeah, like
They're better friends than he probably deserves.
yeah, and he's kind of he shows some loyalty to them too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like that's the interesting thing about this. Like, well, I mean, aside from the extremist father, I'm assuming he's a bad guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Most of the people in this show are pretty reasonable and kind people deep down.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, even yours uh
Siscon brother.
Siscon brother, yeah.
Oh yeah, he means well. He's just a psychopath.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I'm
yeah,
glad that you
he
brought
could,
the Damien. I'm glad you brought the Damien focus episode because
yeah,
that was a highlight to me too. Just because it was, it's always nice when you get to see a different side of characters.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, and Ninja pointed out that yeah, he is kind of a tsundere
Oh,
type
absolutely.
character. Yeah.
Now I will say part of the highlight of this show isn't so much the plot because it's it's mostly just haha funny. Um, the art in this series is actually really great. Um, so like and the artist is very good. Like these are very simple looking character designs, but you can see down here Anya's smug face.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's also good at you occasionally see Anya from Damien's POV. It's like she's always, she's cute as a button, right?
Yeah.
But like when they want to like emphasize how much Damien has the hots for her,
Yeah.
he like they crank up the shojo cute to like 12.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
Oh, and
Fiona,
he's talking about the minor spy character over there
right, yeah.
who has the thing
Who
for Lloyd.
yeah, yeah, right, has a thing for Lloyd. Yeah, and she was trying to replace Yor as to be his wife.
Yeah.
And who's oh yeah, and then Anya's friend. I
Oh,
can't remember her
Becky.
name. Becky, yeah. And Becky also has the hots for Lloyd.
Mm, that adds more fuel to the Lloyd is Bondman fire.
Yes.
But so yeah, so basically, if you somehow hated the first season, second season is not going to change your mind. Uh,
Mhm.
I would say probably look for episodes about them being on a cruise ship because those have more of a point and stress to them than anything else.
Yeah.
I would say that if you could probably come up with a like a there was the first season was 24 episodes. We have 8 so far. I
Mhm.
think of those you could probably come up with like a 10 episode playlist of plot relevant or more actiony episodes.
Yeah.
because you'd have the opening set, getting the dog. Fiona, you could argue, being
Mhm.
important, and then
Mm.
the cruise ship thing.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like I'd been kind of thinking about drop. No, wasn't thinking about dropping the manga, but I was getting less enthused about the manga. But that
Mhm.
cruise ship storyline was great.
Yeah.
Let the artist show off with his ability to design interesting looking characters and portray crazy action.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad this manga in anime exists because yeah, and I can see why it's popular. Yeah.
Yep. I think this one was actually an example of a Shonen Jump digital only series that they took a chance on and it blew up.
Yeah.
It's from a guy who had actually done a couple of I haven't read them yet, but I picked up a couple of his manga that weren't Spy Family that they came out with this year.
Yeah.
Good. But it's like it's published with the proviso. Oh, this series wasn't super. Or it's like, hey, before he made Spy Family, here's Tatsuya. I think his name is Tatsuya Edos or something like that.
Mm.
Actually, I just have it right here. Yeah, Tatsuya Endo. Uh,
Yeah.
here's another. It's like we have this short manga that didn't last. We can sell some now because Spy Family is blown up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a real creative talent. I've had friends tell me, nah, this is gonna last for. It's gonna get. I got distracted by Holy Ninja's comment. Yeah,
Oh.
it was one of the first Shonen Jump Plus series. Yes, yeah, the digital only. The other popular one is getting an anime next year is Kaiju number 8.
Mm.
Kaiju number 8, I think, is one that will probably be better as an anime than as a manga because the manga, at least to me, felt like it was My Hero Academia, but at like double speed. So
Uh,
it's like they kept like it's like, wait, no, you just introduced this character. Why are we getting this character? Uh, well, why aren't we getting more of Kaiju number 8? Wait, this character's cool. Can we give them like a little bit more focus, please?
yeah.
Okay, can we get some more adventures um, just with this current status quo before we change again?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's some series that are actually aided by padding, and I think that Kaiju will be one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway,
Cool.
back to Spy Family.
Yeah.
To wrap up, I had a friend of mine claim that, oh, this is going to be like Detective Conan. It's going to run for 20 years. They're never going to actually complete Operation Strix and uh, meet Mr. Desmond. I don't know if I think it's got that quite that trajectory.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I think. I mean. You have to keep it moving along. Anya can't stay a little. This isn't The Simpsons where Anya can stay a
Right.
little kid
Right.
forever.
Right, and I would also say that because okay, so like I forget if I mentioned this, but he compared it to Detective Conan, where
Mm.
you have this guy who was turned into a little boy, and he's in theory always trying to figure out the people who poisoned him, so he can find out what poison they used to reverse and turn back into an adult.
Yeah.
And this is a series that has literally been running for like 40 years in Japan,
Oh wow.
and he has made no progress on this.
Oof.
But I think it's because it has a very different format.
Hmm.
Because basically with him, it's always like a murder mystery.
Right.
Because he's an adult detective in a child's body, so he can figure things out.
Yeah.
Um, it's like there's like a little bit of tension, but you can totally ignore the fact that in theory he's trying to figure out how to turn back to normal at all times.
Right.
This, because you have such a specific mission, like if you wanted something that just ran eternally, it would have been Lloyd is told to um, slow down or else he's fired, and so he makes a fake family to specifically to mollify his bosses. Then you have a premise that can just last forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe maybe in 2040 when the series is wrapping up, I can say okay, fine, you were right.
Yeah.
But I think this is gonna, like, this is volume 10, might
Mm,
hit volume 25.
yeah,
I, but that's just my feel on it, is that it feels like there's some momentum in the series.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eh,
Well, yeah. Check it out. It's on Crunchyroll. So
Yep. Check it out on Crunchyroll, and or if you prefer to read, the Shonen Jump digital app, $3 a month, and you can just blitz through the whole thing in a week.
yeah,
But
indeed.
speaking of here's my transition game.
Yeah,
Speaking of blitzing, whatever you have to say about National Socialism, it's at least an ideology. Because
yeah.
we watched The Big Lebowski.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. This was my recommendation. Because DB had never seen this. I've seen this a few times. I had a friend in college who just loved this movie. It was one of his favorites. He'd quote it all the time. Um,
It's extremely quotable.
yes. This was one of those cult classic movies that when the movie came out, it didn't do very well. Um, but then when it came out on video, it blew up, and good to see you, Chingus. And yeah, is this your homework, Larry?
Yeah.
um,
Uh,
but
so I
yeah,
was talking with Daniel about this while I was watching it, and I'm going to use a softer word than I used in chat, because I don't think YouTube likes that word.
yeah,
But this is basically Chinatown if it was being solved by a bunch of morons.
yeah,
Daniel, pull the clip.
yes.
Morons! I have morons on my payroll!
Yeah.
The greatest clip ever created. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, it is a neo noir movie, and it's also a black comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it stars Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, uh, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, a few others, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Um,
Uh, yeah, but I gotta say though, like, the anti-aging CGI on Jeff Bridges in this movie, yeah, a little bit more convincing than it was in Tron. But
yeah, well,
I don't know, like
but he did put on some weight though, in between
yeah,
in between Tron and this movie.
that's true. That probably helped with the aging effects, and he was wearing sunglasses the whole time, so that makes it easier on the animators.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, now that I've done my running gag on Jeff Bridges, we can move on
Yeah.
to the actual movie.
Yes. Yeah. So the Big Lebowski. It centers on yeah, Genghis. Yeah, John Turturro is Jesus.
Jesus,
um,
that yeah,
yes. Jeff Bridges plays Jeffrey the Dude Lebowski, he's basically just a guy who he lazy old hippie, uh,
yep,
likes to go bowling with his friends and drink White Russians and smoke pot.
yep.
Um,
Always White Russians.
Always, yeah, always White Russians. And then one night when he's coming home from the grocery store, a couple of thugs who break into his house, and one of them dunks his head in the toilet, and then the other one pees on his rug.
Had the whole room together.
Yeah, it really tied the room together. uh, uh, and of course, the two thugs, it was a case of mistaken identity. They thought he was some rich guy named Jeffrey Lebowski because,
Yep.
yeah, the wife Bunny owes him money, and of course, the dude famously is like, "My wife? Do you see a wedding ring on my finger? Does this place look like I'm effing married?" He's like, the toilet seat's up, man.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So he basically goes to the Big Lebowski, the Jeffrey Lebowski, the philanthropist and businessman,
Yes.
to demand payment for his rug.
Yeah, and the Big Lebowski, of course, basically tells him, "No, you're a lazy bum, and you need to get a job." And da 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 da.
The damn hippies vote for Reagan. Da, da,
Y-
da, da.
Right? Yeah. and yeah, Chingus, where's the money, Lebowski? And so then he leaves with he just takes he said, "Oh yeah, I can take any rug I want." So he takes a rug out of the house, and then he meets Bunny, played by Tara Reid.
I did not recognize because she was very young at the time.
Yeah, I wonder, she's probably like 20 or 21. Um, but well, also there is Yuli, who is a German nihilist.
Yeah,
But then of course the dude is happy because he finally has a rug, but then Julianne Moore shows up with a couple of guys and knock him out and take the rug, because apparently that particular rug had some sentimental value for her, and with
it
her.
belonged to my mother. It was not my father's to give.
You're right, yes. Yeah. Nihilist must be exhausting. um but okay, all right. And so story progresses, and then Bunny gets supposedly gets kidnapped. This is where like the noir part of it comes
Right,
into it.
because the noir movie, you never it's never the straightforward case. There's always like a hidden mystery to unravel behind the case.
Right. And so the Big Lebowski gets a ransom note saying that his that Bunny's been kidnapped, and he has the dude. He wants the dude to deliver the ransom. Even offering to pay him 20 grand, and of course, and then when it ends up happening is his buddy Walter, who's played by John Goodman, who might be on the spectrum, as you pointed out.
Yeah, I think he definitely has a touch of the tism.
Yes. Says, well, why don't we just, we throw out the give him a ringer with his dirty undies, and and then just keep the $1 million.
Yeah, and short of going completely blow by blow on the entire plot, it
Right.
all
Yeah.
basically goes wrong from there.
Right. Yeah. It's just, yeah, a bunch of really bad stuff happens to the dude. His car gets stolen, um, this is yeah. Let's take that hill. Um, uh, but yeah. So long story short, uh, the whole thing was just she wasn't kidnapped. It was fake, and she just kind of ran off. And
Which means that Walter was actually kind of right.
yeah, because he's like, oh yeah, she'll because the dude had a theory that well, she kidnapped herself.
And that was
And
Walt. That's right. No, the dude mentioned that in passing, and
right,
Walter just took it as gospel going forward.
right, yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole very good listening comprehension from the people in this movie. Like, they just don't listen to each other. It's like,
Right. It's kind of funny that the stoned out hippie guy is the voice of reason.
right, yeah. Um, and so then they basically then the whole thing too was that the Big Lebowski, he's actually not a savvy businessman, and so he's just basically taking money out of the family's foundation, and so he basically took 1 million out and kept it for himself.
Right, using the whole ransom attempt. By the way, spoilers, folks.
Yeah, yes, yeah, spoilers.
He was basically his way to. Oh no, the money was taken by kidnappers. Wink.
Wink, yeah. And then of course he got the other what kills me is the bit with where this other private investigator is following the dude around, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Who you work for?" He's like, "I work for the Knutsons." Like, who the f are the Knutsons? And it's Bunny's family from Minnesota.
Yeah, they tried to get her back.
Trying to get her back, and he's like, I love your stuff, man. Playing one side against the other in bed with everybody, just fabulous."
Yeah, I'm not playing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Chinga
you know,
says, yeah. Go ahead.
the energy I always get, uh, uh, the energy I kept getting from this movie. Do you remember the Towley episode of South Park, where the kids find this whole government conspiracy, made this bioengineered living towel,
Yeah,
and this whole elaborate plot is playing out around them, and the kids just could not give less of a crap about it. They just want their Okama game sphere back. Damn it!
yeah,
That is basically the little Lebowski in this movie. That is the dude in this movie.
yeah,
Like he just wants his rug back. He wants people to stop stealing his car. He just wants to get out of this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, and and yeah, and Chinga says, yeah, his favorite part was Walter was pretty much correct on everything until he broke the other Lebowski's back. Yeah, yeah, I've seen a few spinals in my day.
Right, that guy can get up and walk.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
uh, probably the best scene in the movie was when they go to scatter some ashes on a cliffside, and
yeah.
Walter once again brings it back to Vietnam, apropos of nothing.
Right. Yeah. Because everything is always about Vietnam with him.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah. And what killed me was the part before that when they're at the funeral home and they're talking to the funeral director and and they're like, well, the urn was like they couldn't afford yeah, they couldn't afford $180 urn.
Yeah. They got a coffee can.
So they got a coffee can. What kills me, Walter's like, just because we're bereaved doesn't make us saps.
Yeah, like he just couldn't ever accept anything that anybody was doing.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, so they scatter the ashes, and of course the ashes just blow right back into the dude's face.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, so that's basically the experience of the movie is it's it's a noir mystery with a cast of simpletons. Really, everybody's kind of an idiot or a prick through the whole thing.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Um, what's her name? The businessman's daughter kind of comes off the best,
Yeah.
though she's kind of a humorless killjoy
Oh
who
yeah. Yeah.
who's also kind of written like she has a touch of the tism.
Yeah. Yeah. She is the prototypical feminist. She even has the bowl cut.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then of course the whole scene where she and the dude have intercourse, and she starts doing yoga because it increases the chances of conception.
yeah. Yeah, and she picked him specifically because she figured that um, he wouldn't have any interest in actually,
Raising the kid,
yeah,
yeah,
or having a relationship with her.
right, yeah. But yeah, yeah, this movie is yeah, like you said, it's just uh I'm trying to think of a good way to this is kind of one of those movies where like it all kind of comes back to the because in the end like nothing really it is kind of a noir in the sense that nothing ever really gets solved, and then they just kind of go
Mhm.
back to where they were at the beginning.
Right, they're just back to their everyday lives.
Right, yeah, as the dude says at the end, the dude abides,
Right, the dude does not. Right, because like basically everybody has their theory, and I think everybody is wrong
right.
except for the dude. But the only reason the dude is right about anything is because the dude doesn't give a crap.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I just like the part where his car gets stolen, and he's sitting in his living room with the two cops, and he's like, well, I had a tape deck in there and some credence, and so you guys gonna find the car? He's like, oh yeah, well, maybe, but I wouldn't hold that much hope for the tape deck. or the credence.
So, so I'm going to make a confession here.
Hmm.
I actually did not like this movie much. Uh,
Mm,
uh, like you might like I can laugh along with it, like the lines in isolation,
yeah.
but and I'm waiting for Changus and or Ninja just to call me a Philistine in the comments there. So like the reason I can kind of laugh along and I remember all of the moments is
Yeah.
partially because some of them have been seeded into my brain by years of memes, and I did actually catch that bit where the Germans had attacked him with the ferret in the bathtub on TV once. So at the line, whatever you have to say about National Socialism, it's at least an ethos.
Yeah.
Uh, has stuck in my head for many years with no context.
Yeah. He
Um,
calls it a marmot too.
yeah, they keep calling it the wrong animal.
Yeah.
Um, what I would say about my actual experience of watching this was that okay. So let's say that a drama that doesn't quite hit for you can become a comedy.
Mm,
Like classic example is The Room,
yeah.
or even Twilight with the right mindset.
Yeah.
Like you can just start finding humor in the flubbed character beats and the lack of logic. Now, not that this movie has a lack of logic, because every character is exquisitely realized and performed and written.
Hmm. Yeah.
I just found most of the cast extremely tiresome, which I get is the joke, but so it's like I'm like the guy who doesn't like pizza saying, look, I get the point of pizza. Yeah, you have a bread layer and you have some tomato sauce and cheese and some sort of toppings, and I get where somebody could enjoy that, but just the moment to moment watching of it, I just was annoyed at the characters more than anything else.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I will admit the first time I watched it, I didn't get it really. I mean, it wasn't until the very end of the movie with the ashes that I finally kind of got like, okay, these people are just idiots,
Yeah,
and you just
but
kind of have to go along with it. Um,
yeah, there's also a lot of scenes that really felt self indulgent. Like
mhm.
like Sam Elliott is like I like Sam Elliott. Um, I thought he was completely useless and pointless in this movie.
He's, I think Sam Elliott's character, I want to say is I wouldn't say he's the audience, but he's probably certain members of the audience.
He's like, well, he's kind of the Greek chorus because he's there to like introduce the movie and
Yeah.
give us narration when we need it. And
Yeah, well, he only interacts with two people. He interacts with the dude and then the bartender at the bowling alley. So you
right,
kind of wonder if, yeah, like what his, is he really there kind of thing,
like is he a guardian angel or something?
Yeah, yeah,
It's possible, and he did know about Lebowski getting what's her name pregnant, so that could
yeah,
imply some sort of higher knowledge, since it's not like the dude was talking about it.
yeah, and he even says to the dude, like, do you have to use so many curse words?
Yeah. Um, John Goodman, his character was like both the best and worst part of the movie for me because again, it's just like he kept being the train wreck I wanted to look away from but couldn't because like he is so pathetic. Like, he is just like the the pitch perfect rendition of a certain type of person who is
Yeah,
just so arrogant and has done nothing to earn that arrogance.
yeah, and it's constantly telling Donnie to shut the f up.
Yes. Well, I mean, Donnie's just learning disabled, so it's very mean of him to like lash out into him for not following the thread of their conversations.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
come on. But like, so it's like again, like I didn't enjoy the moment to moment watching it. Maybe I give it a shot again in 6 months, and it's my favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
But there were just like a lot of scenes that seemed self indulgent, like all of the dream sequences I could have done without.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, like the whole, yeah, like the bowling part, yeah, was a little
right?
like,
Where
yeah.
like they specifically set it around the first Gulf War, and they had like Saddam Hussein was suddenly
Yeah,
in the
he's
dream sequence,
yeah,
working at the bowling alley.
yeah,
It's like, okay, this is just a bunch of this is the Coen brothers just having fun.
yeah.
And this isn't my first Coen brothers movie. I've seen Hail Caesar and what's that bluegrass one they did? Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was theirs too, right?
I th I believe it was, yeah.
The
Um,
Internet's
yeah, I'd seen a couple of their stuff before, like, I wanna
Coen.
yeah, I'd seen, like, No Country for Old Men, their remake of True Grit, um, Hudsucker Proxy, which is pretty good. That's a pretty good movie with,
I don't know,
uh
man. If you're gonna suck HUDs, do it yourself. Don't use a proxy.
yeah.
That's the dumb joke that comes to my mind every time I hear that title, just because it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, their brand of humor is very, different. Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Wes Anderson to an extent, where like the humor derives from the characters being exceptionally awkward in weirdly staged moments. Eh, If there's like if you, I actually in college I watched The Life Aquatic with Steve Siso, and I described it as autistic cinema, where it's like none of the emotions come out of any of the characters, even when they're good actors.
Yeah.
Um, I would actually say that like if there's a spectrum, Wes Anderson is up here, the Coens are around here,
Yeah.
because like Jeff Bridges still has normal emotional reactions.
Yeah. Yeah. We know it's his effing homework. Where's the effing money, you little brat?
Yeah. Also, like that scene where the kid just refused to say anything and the mom didn't intervene.
Yeah.
Like that was and I saw the punchline to that scene coming a mile away.
Yeah.
As soon as he started, you know, I don't care if this kid is a little shit who doesn't well, who just wants to be emo and not react to anything. If they were breaking up a car that he just bought himself, he would be extremely distraught right now. So that's not going to be his car, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, what would kill me was the kid's dad was like this famous writer of a TV show.
Yeah, for what was it, Gunsmoke? Some
Branded.
western.
Branded. Yeah.
Brandon, that's it. And he's just laying there in an iron lung. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We're big fans of yours. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The movie is full of like these little awkward bits, and
Yeah.
again, it's there are some times where I stand outside of the mainstream with regards to these movies. Just again, maybe I need a second viewing down the line to really appreciate it. But
Yeah.
I just like it's funny. It's like I can think of all these moments as being really funny looking back on them,
Yeah.
but like the actual watching of them, I was just kind of rolling my eyes a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I don't know. So maybe again, it could just be a me thing.
Yeah.
I am not here to I am here to give my opinion, and that is my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you even like since but even like just watching it, this was a well-made movie. This is exactly what the Coens wanted it to be.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so by the standards of did they hit the goal that they achieved or they went for? Did they hit the goal that they were targeting? Yes. It is by that metric a perfect movie.
Yes. Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. And it's defined the life of a lot of millennials. And
Uh, yeah, yeah, maybe too well.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Well,
No,
it's probably kept bowling leagues, more popular than they would have been without it.
no, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, also, that Jesus character completely useless in the movie,
Yeah.
and they actually made a sequel starring him years later.
Yeah. Which I heard about, but I don't know where if it's available to watch anywhere. I'm really not interested in watching that. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
like of all the characters to do a spinoff of, it's like I'd honestly be more curious what Walter's gotten himself into 20 or 30 years on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
he's a character.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if he's still Jewish.
Yeah. Like maybe he's moved on to being a Muslim or something like
Right, yeah, yeah.
that.
Uh, but yeah. Um, it's yeah, go check it out. It's on Netflix right now. If
Yep.
you've never watched it, although from what I can gather from Changus and uh oh, okay, Changus is okay,
Oh,
Jesus rules.
was it a YouTube red thing?
It might have been a YouTube Red thing, yeah. So it's very different than the Big Lebowski. Okay.
Were the Coens also responsible for that one?
I don't think so.
That is such a weird choice again. Like you just take this, it'd be
Yeah.
like, well, it's actually kind of what they. It's like making a whole TV show about Cassian Andor.
It's yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Except Cassian had way more lines. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Nobody
all right,
f's with the Jesus.
nobody. Uh,
Uh, 8-year-olds, dude. Oh man. All right. Well, okay. Enough of me quoting the movie, which Chinggis has been doing the entire time.
yes, and I could tell that you enjoyed it more than I did. But I'm also open to the idea that, like you said, it took you a couple of tries. So
Yeah, yeah,
maybe it's an acquired taste.
yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we have exhausted all of these topics for tonight.
Yep. So it was a fun night of talking about media we've consumed,
Mhm.
and you know, I did actually have one more thing. Now we've been at it an hour,
Oh no.
um, but when we come back after Thanksgiving, we can look forward to my review of Fantastic Four: Full Circle.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell. Follow me on Twitter because we're also on there. um, Happy Thanksgiving if you are in America.
Yep.
Yeah.
Heck, even if you aren't in America, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Just go eat a bunch of excessive calories and watch some sports with family,
Indeed, yeah.
and that's the spirit of Thanksgiving.
Yes. Exactly. All right, see you in a couple of weeks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.